live here. Okay, Lon. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and having a chat with me, and yeah, getting on Zoom and catching up. So you're
No problem.
you're over
Thank you.
there in Oahu, right?
Yes, I am. Yep.
Okay, cool. How's the fishing been going over there?
I think it's a slow down a little bit from that rim pack. A lot of the guys uh been doing so well with the rim pack exercises, the ice.
Okay. Yeah, they're kind of all around where you guys are fishing. Are they doing all that stuff?
Yeah, yeah. So I think just all the sonar and those extra bolts in the water. I think the fish don't really care for that. I think too much.
Yeah, I've heard that before. We don't get them too often that they come in close to where we're fishing, but a couple years ago they did. They came like right into Captain Cook, right in the bay, and
Wait,
and it was kind of crazy. Yeah, we were all fishing, and they were like rushing through basically all the lines we were trying to fish, and it was crazy. I was like, "What is going on here?" Um, yeah, I guess that makes a lot of sense. That sonar probably does mess with a lot of stuff going on out there. But well, cool. Well, let's chat a bit about your lures. I got one of your bullets sitting right here. The other one's on the boat. We've been pulling it a bunch. So I have this one that you sent over. One thing really cool I've noticed with these is the consistency on how they're running with that Blackwater ripple, and yeah, they look really good. And I noticed the weight in them probably is really good for where you guys are fishing too, where it's a little bit more bumpy too. Um,
uh, rougher here.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely rougher than Kona. But what I was surprised too was like, even with how much weight's in it, that thing, here in the calm, we got it running really good on the Stinger, just like rippling really well. We had a couple fish come up on them already.
Oh,
Uh,
that's awesome.
so yeah, it looks really good. And then I had a tube that you sent me and a plunger,
Uh-huh.
and I ran both of those, and they were looking good. The tube, I really like that tube. I think we're going to get a bunch of use out of that. I don't get bit a whole bunch for some reason on my boat with plungers,
Uh-huh.
but in the winter I'll probably run that one in a little bit closer, and I bet it'll get bit. But that tube, I did like the way that looked, especially how light it was for Kona. I think it's going to be a good one. But with that being said, would you mind letting us know kind of how you got into making lures, and just a kind of a brief history on how it began with you and all that
Well,
good
I think what really got me interested was fishing with David Von Ham. He had a 35-foot force on Oahu, and I started going fishing with him a lot. And there'd be a lot of times where I just go into his cabin, and he'd just come downstairs and tell me about all these lures that he had. He had a whole bunch of lures on his boat, and he'd tell me, "Oh, this Sunny Arita, this one we caught this marlin on this long center," and then he'd tell me about this all this bunch of other lures. He'd show me the Shiroma heads, and he'd get to the Odagiris and all these different lure makers. Oh yeah, that caught this Vince lure. He doesn't make it anymore. This guy passed away, and all these stories about these lures while fishing, and then being able to see them, I guess, in the ocean working.
yeah.
That's what really got me going into making fishing lures. And luckily, there's a couple guys that fished with him that were lure makers already. Randy Takushu, Polu Lures, fished with
Okay.
us a bunch, and I was able to pick his brain and he was nice enough to share some information with me on how he did things, and that helped a lot. And so the guy Peter Chun, he passed away already, but he was real meticulous in his work, and I was able to just pick his brain, even go to his house sometimes and spill resin on the ground. Yeah, he was nice enough to show me, his things that he learned over time too. So those are the guys that got me into it.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's interesting. And then it was just kind of a trial and error thing with you. You kind of make some and run them, and then adapt
Um,
them, and
I think what I really wanted at first was something heavier.
Uh-huh.
Peter Chun's lures were heavy, and fishing in a little bit rougher water here. I wanted something that wasn't going to tangle. That was actually number one. And I got to a point where I thought the weights were pretty good. I really had some action to the lure, and I was kind of happy with the product by the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially in the bullets, that weight is such a key element. I think to try and get that magic weight right there where you actually can still see the bullet, but it's not too light, it's not too heavy. Um, so yeah, I mean, you figured it out for sure. The way that the way I've seen them been running, and gosh, there's a lot of big ahis that are caught on these bullets too. I was looking through your Instagram page and a bunch of catches on them, and
Yeah, because I haven't been really keeping up, and even guys will send me pictures, and there's the lure. A lot of guys are different colors and whatnot, so I post something
yeah,
check for those guys. I wouldn't want to really get those contacts. Um, ruin friends because I shared somebody's secret colors with somebody on Instagram, and not everybody's running that thing. So a lot of times, trying to say, "Hey, good going on your fish."
yeah. Well, that's cool that you do that because yeah, I think some guys would just put whatever up just to try and get the word out.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's cool. The bullets you sent me, I got that um, cracked glass in it, and then kind of that rainbow color in it.
yeah.
And I'm a big fan of that. I think it looks pretty good when the sun's shining on it. You can see it like glimmer in there, and with some Flashaboo on it. And a thing I noticed too with your bullets are the jets. You have some unique ways that you've done the jets on there. I mean, this one's just got two big jets on it, and the other one I have has four jets. But yeah, I see you kind of there's those ones are pretty big, and I see you like there's a couple different variations that you did with the jets. Um, and this is something I've kind of always wondered, and I think there's probably a lot of different opinions on it. But in terms of like jets in your bullets or in lures in general, what's your take on that? Do you like it because it kind of holds it in the water a little more, or it creates more of a smoke trail, or it flares up the skirt, or I mean, what's your kind of theory on that? What do you like with the jets?
So with the great hurts, right? Some of the pressure through the lure, so like you said, it helps us press up a little more. I think with that turbulence, it more resistance, and the heads can a little bit because of the lure. So, the big reason that I started making those two-hole ones is I thought that I could create more of a ballast.
Yeah,
Like the half of the lure is going to be heavier on the top half, right? There's two big voids in the top half.
exactly. Yeah.
That's where I was what I was intending with those ones.
Well, that's pretty cool. I did notice that when I was kind of just rolling it on my counter. Is that yeah, like you said, because those jets are there, there is kind of a natural belly weight in it. Um, and yeah, I got to get it out and give it a run. But that's pretty cool because a lot of bullets they don't really have that. Um, and so that'll be pretty cool to kind of mess around with. And um, yeah, I like it. I like the idea for sure. Um, so the other question I have about the jets is, do you think that um, do you think it's primarily just kind of helps with the run, how it runs, or is there something to be said about maybe it's making some sort of a sound or a different commotion in the water? I mean, I've heard a whole bunch of different reasons, so I'm just curious what you think.
I and I've never actually jumped in the water and like watched the lure go by,
Yeah,
but they told me that a while back that it seems to whistle.
yeah,
I don't know how true it is or not because I've never had the chance to jump in the water and let the boat and the lures go by me. But that's
Yeah.
what it creates a noise back there. It's a little different. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
making them that way, and it seems to work. So I
Yeah.
try to try not
Well,
to fix.
yeah. I mean, there's definitely something to that, the jets and on bullets for sure. Cause I had a couple on a 9+ bullet that worked really well. They were always had jetted, and I asked Eric, "Hey, can you make me one without the jets?" Because I wanted to put a rubber stopper on it because I didn't like using the toothpick all the time.
Yeah.
And it definitely didn't get bit like the one with the bullets. And I ended up just going back to dealing with just toothpicks and dealing with the jets because there was something going on there, and it ran the same. It looked real similar, at least from like my eye looking at it from above the water. But there's definitely something going on there with the jets. It just seemed to get bit more. So that's, yeah, I mean, that's something interesting. I guess we won't know unless, and I guess the fish know that secret, but but there is something going on there for sure. Well, that's pretty cool. And so you also make other lures as well, other than jets. Like I said, that tube lure, I had a plunger. You make a couple different size ones. And did you just kind of come up with that plunger is a pretty unique, shape for a plunger. Actually, I thought it was pretty cool how it was set up. Because everyone makes a plunger, but they all look pretty similar for the most part. And yours definitely has a little difference to it, which was cool. So I was interested, like, if you just kind of messed around with the concept a bit yourself, or if you had somebody kind of, helping you come up with that idea, or how you came up with the master on that one.
I think what ended up happening was I just wanted to make something big.
Yeah.
And kept it and ended up with some tapers on it and tried running it. I've seen the angle on the face when I first started. It was little less of a angle, but I think it seems to run better. See, I don't think I never grew up fishing for marlin.
Yeah.
So that I never had real experience on trolling these big lures, and I just started fooling around with it, and it ended up being where, okay, this thing runs pretty good. And luckily I had a couple guys in the some charter captains here. I said, hey, go try this. Let me know what you think.
Yeah.
And yeah, it runs pretty good, but it wants to come out of the water, and when we're good at this speed or whatever. And I said, okay, well, let me see if I can try and fix something up from that, and it ended up working out okay. Where I changed some there and hold better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it looks really good. So I'm definitely interested to kind of experiment with that over here and see what comes up and eats it for sure. And then the tube style lure is pretty much it went off of a generic kind of that tube style.
The easiest straight line I could make. So I was like, okay, well, we'll do this for the. I fooled around with the length for a while, how close I cut it.
Yeah.
Happy where it's at right now. I've tried some shorter ones. They do run a little different when the hits are a little shorter. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you find that they a little bit more aggressive when they get shorter? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a cool lure. I'm sure we're gonna get some bites on that here for sure. I got some video of it the other day running. It looked pretty explosive out there, so that's pretty cool. But cool. Well, I got a little bit of a list of a couple questions, and we'll go through just a couple. And I had talked with Cole with GZ a little bit as well, because he's had a relationship with you for a long time, and there were some things he wanted me to kind of talk with you about. And the one thing he was curious about was that you're a fireman and a lure maker. So
Yeah.
how do you find the time there to do that, make the lures, and continue to fish too? So, he was curious how that relationship works. And
Luckily, our schedule here is we work for 3 days, and then we're off for 4 days. So I basically work 10 24-hour shifts in a month. I got some time off. My kids are a little older now, so they're in school. So I got my off days when they're in school is when actually I can put some work in.
Yeah.
And over the 4 days, there's a couple of days where I can actually get up early and go fishing.
Yeah.
But that seems to kind of work out whenever the schedule lines up. Sometimes they want to go fishing, and I'm getting off duty and they get off at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they're like 30 miles out by 8 o'clock in the morning already. So that doesn't really work out too well.
Yeah. Yeah. Over there, you guys have to run a little ways to get to some of the spots you want to get to, huh?
Yeah, there's sometimes we're out like 30 plus miles looking for
Yeah.
kudos and whatnot. So
Right on. So for, like an up and coming lure maker who, they look up to you and, they're trying to figure it out, what kind of advice could you give them in terms of like getting involved in it, putting the time aside to do it, what, any kind of advice that you could give somebody jumping into that?
I think like the biggest thing for me was putting quality in front of anything else. Like I used to always tell the guys when I make lures for them, like, hey, it's going to take a while, but I'll make sure that I do it right.
Yeah.
That was my biggest thing was making sure that the lure was perfect, as if I bought it, it would be something that I would be proud of selling to somebody. And so I try my best to make sure that that's the product that they get, something that I'm proud of having my name on, of being out there.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. So that, yeah, and I mean, from what we see, you're pretty efficient at getting these out there and getting the quality in it. So that's pretty cool that you're able to get the time and get it out there. So I kind of want to, every lure maker I talk to, I kind of, that fishes as well, I like to ask them about their go-to spread, deal. So you're primarily, you like to fish for tunas and mahis and like, meat fish and whatever. So I guess for how you're fishing, or I mean, you don't have to give away all your secrets here, but just a rough idea. What would you recommend as a tuna mahi spread out there for people they want to catch something?
Mike, I think the first lure that gets chosen every time is that rainbow crack glass, the 4-hole bullet, the one with the taper on it. That
Okay.
lure, my friend calls it the American Express. He says, I don't know about it. And that thing is skirted blue salmon. It's been reskirted a bunch of times. I made him a whole bunch of new ones because after a while, hey, Lana, I'm sorry I lost this one. I need another one, So that lure, I would say that lure would be my first choice if I'm looking for any kind of tunas out there. And I'd have the disco ball on the other side.
Okay.
We've been doing real well with some otogiri lures. And I guess in the corners I'd have a 7-inch bullet and a small seven corner. So I'm looking to catch some fish. That'll be my choices right there.
Okay. All right. The American Express, I like that you call that lure. That's the one. That's the one we've been pulling on our stinger. Yeah. And it looks really good, and I could see how that thing gets slammed. Cool.
How it worked out. The lure just worked out where that one too. I was just trying to create some kind of shape, and the point got real big, and I think it worked out where there's still some surface area around the jets that it can grab some water and swim a little bit with the big point.
Yeah, and it's got some tapers on it too, which I'm assuming is what helps give it that like little that wiggle and ruffle in the water.
Yeah.
Would you recommend putting Flashaboo, or just do you like doing rubber skirts on them? Or
I've always used rubber.
Yeah.
I flash boot a few lures, and I don't think I've given it enough time out there. I like flash boot over rubber skirts or whatever, and all the guys that I learned fishing from back in the day, none of them used flash boot right back then. So just what I've learned, I I wish I could have more time out there so I could get a better opinion as, oh yeah, I want to put a flashable on this head and run it this way or whatnot. Wish I had more time to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I've noticed that there's certain like there's always that like famous like pinky kind of color that sometimes just turns on and all the fish, that's all they want to eat or whatever. And I've flashed bullets up trying to be in that same color pattern of like the pinky, and it doesn't get bit anything nearly as good as when you do like a triple skirt proper, like the traditional pinky.
Yeah.
There's something about it, I don't know, I think that little bit of bulk in the skirt maybe gives it a little more skitter. I don't know, but there's definitely something to be said about that. And I mean, right now, Flashaboo is definitely like the rage with so many people. But yeah, I think it's good to switch them up and try different things. Some lures run good with flash, some don't. So we put flash on the bullet on that bullet we've been running of yours on the Stinger. It looks great, but I did put a little extra flash on it, so it's like a little bit more, a little bit thicker. Yeah, because that's the problem with the flashes. Most of the time when people flash it, when it's dry, it looks pretty thick, but when you get it in the water, it thins way out. Yeah, and I mean, maybe that helps on a hookup or something, but I don't know if all the fish like that. I think that you need to have that little bit of girth on it. So that's interesting.
That's my first experience with flash. When I put it in the water, like, oh, it sucked up and it looked a little. I was like, oh, I don't know if the fish is gonna.
Yeah. The other thing too is like, I mean, you're fishing for tunas and stuff, so I'm assuming you like to pull a double hook rig.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with flash, it makes it hard to pull a double hook rig. They tingle. Yeah. And I mean, we aren't really targeting tunas, but I miss a lot of tunas on a single hook rig. I mean, it's just that's just what happens, But we're primarily targeting marlin, but we do like getting an ahi from time to time. I'm not going to turn that away for sure. But yeah, there's definitely something there with that. And do you ever kind of go out there looking for marlin at all, or do you ever do any tournaments where you're trying to catch them? Like if you were to pick a spread of your lures to go marlin fish, what would you what would you really
Well, those. I got a 12-inch one too. But I probably put a couple, a tube and a plunger out there, the corners. I got this one lure that's did real well for us last 8 years or so. It's just icy blue tint bullet that I got, and it's caught us some fish. It caught us some big marlins too, so that will definitely get out there. Besides that, my friend has this black cracked glass that always seems to get bit, and a yellow shell. A yellow lure I made for him, and that seems to draw some fish. So maybe those will be my 5 if I'm looking for some kind of marlin. Yeah.
You get out there. Right on. Cool. And I guess the next question is there anything new or anything you're working on? Is there can we expect anything kind of different coming soon, or have you been experimenting with any different shapes, or are you just trying to stick with what you're well known for? And
I've been making a couple other. I haven't made many of them yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. I got this nine. In fact, I have it right here.
Oh, cool.
It's this here. It's a big 9. It's just a big bullet, but it has a little taper on it.
Cool.
And I just weighed it. It's like, I think it was like 8 ounces or something. It's a big 9. And I made this same thing as the 12 though. And in the water, it's heavy. This one's heavy as hell. But
yeah.
Work okay. Yeah. See how that goes.
Okay.
That's one is some for the guys who don't want all the jets or whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that'll be cool. Yeah, some people want to not have the jets in it, like some people don't. So yeah, it's good. those options. And you said that 12 is super heavy too.
Super heavy, yeah.
Well,
I
that's
think that's weight is like 12 ounces or something.
okay. Well, yeah, I mean, gosh, I've done really well on bullets that are just, you don't even really see them that well. I've had some where they just kind of aren't, you're just like, I can't see it, but I know it's there, and it just gets smashed.
Yes,
So,
yes,
you know,
yes.
like I know guys that some of their favorite are those old lead style, just a lead with like the Walmart special with like a red eye kind of deal, and it's just a heavy, and it just, you can't even see the thing, and the fish just come up and eat them.
They must eat a lot, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
exactly.
So that's cool to hear. I mean, I think there is a lot to running bullets, and just getting them in different positions. Some want to run this way, some want to run that way, and yeah, I think whatever you got going is the formula you got going is working. So it's it's cool. I'm stoked to be trying some of these out. Um, and well, is there anything else you kind of wanna? Is there anything you wanna chat about or go over? Or
Oh, you know what? I did have a question though.
yeah,
I see this that lure maker challenge. How
uh-huh.
does one do that, or how does somebody get enter that tournament?
Oh, the Lure Makers tournament. Yeah, so basically the way that works, it's a regular tournament, right? So anybody can enter it.
Uh,
Anyone can enter it. You can just pay for it. And then what you're like, you know, for us, like I'm an owner operator, so I just have people charter me for tournaments, and then we'll take a percentage or whatever. So then what you would do is then there's a side category, and you can go in low. You could even go in like 100 a day or something like that, or 500 or whatever it is. And you say that you're representing a certain lure company. So say, you know, we're going to run a bunch of your bullets and your tube and plunger, whatever. And we say, okay, we're team Tanigawa. And then if we win, you know, if you get them, and you may not even win the tournament,
uh,
because not everybody enters that lure makers category. So
I see.
but if you win that lure makers category, then that tournament the next year is called the lure makers presented by, you know, whatever
Oh,
maker were to win. Yeah. So, there's not like, you know, the lure maker doesn't get like some money or anything like that. It's more just a prestige type thing. But I think what would be, you know, it's something interesting lure makers could probably do is say, hey, you know, would you run my lures in the tournament, and I'll bet in those categories or whatever. And then, you know, people could do that, or they just say, hey, I want to come fish that or whatever. Let's pull my lures and do that. And I'm not
I got
sure.
a boat in Kona one day.
Yeah, well, let's stay in touch and see if you maybe this next year coming up.
Maybe.
Good. But I know there's quite a few guys pulling your lures here though. So
Oh,
I do hear about it. I think they're a little secretive about it because a lot of them are tuna fishermen, and they don't want to. Those guys are secretive, man. They have their little zones. They don't talk about it. Like you said, they have their color schemes that they keep to themselves, and that's a whole different thing. Like good ahi fishermen and good marlin fishermen are definitely different for sure. But
yeah,
those
right,
guys, yeah, they're very secretive. But I know a lot of guys are pulling them, and Packrim's got a big selection of them too, I see. So yeah, I think you should look into it for next year for sure.
yeah, that's something pretty cool. Take a couple of my friends and go up there for that tournament. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, you should. And I think with the lure makers thing, um, doesn't just have to be marlin too. You get points for ahi, for striped marlin, stuff like that. The main tournament is just marlin, but that side bet for the lure makers is all other species too. So that's pretty cool as well. But well, man, I really appreciate you taking the time and talking with me, and it's been good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And thank you very much for setting this up.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. And I will continue to keep you posted on how we do, and I'll get some videos as we run them, and probably see these hanging off the fin of a big fish pretty soon behind our boat, hopefully. But
Oh, I hope for you.
yeah, appreciate it, Lon. And if you haven't pulled any of these lures, go check them out. We got a bunch of them at GZ Lures, and go give them a pull. They're awesome, handmade, and yeah, the consistency, like I said, seems really, really, really good quality and good stuff, Lon. So
Thank you so much.
thank you a lot, and we'll talk soon.
All right, take care.
Yeah, see ya.